Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. Instead of doing my normal full-length vinyasa class, I've just done a little headstand tutorial for you. It's kind of shorter, but it'll be fun. We can learn how to do a headstand. I'll also be using my voiceover today because I have low blood pressure, so when I'm up in a headstand and talking, I go very, very dizzy. Just a disclaimer before we start off, headstand is an advanced posture, so please make sure you're hydrated, although not too hydrated. Don't drink straight before doing a headstand, that is not a good idea. Okay, so hydration is key, and you also need to fire up your upper body. You need sort of medium to strong upper body strength here for a headstand, and with your core, it's really important to have done some sun salutations at least. You need sort of medium core strength for this one. If you've got long hair, floppy like me, then tie it up behind your head. So what I mean behind your head is you need a nice flat surface on the top of your head so that you can do a headstand. So a high bun ain't gonna work. I mean, you're gonna look like an egg, but it's cool. It's cool. So first off, I'll show you how to do a textbook headstand and then talk you through each of the elements individually from beginner to advanced, and then we'll put it all together at the end of the video. So I'm starting off in a kneeling position, coming to my base, tucking my chin into my chest to find the spot that I like to balance on the floor, and then I'm squeezing my core, lifting my legs all the way up through a pike press, which we'll talk about later. I'm just going to hang out there for a couple of breaths, come back down the way I came out by hinging from the hip, coming to my knees and immediately coming into child's pose. Now it's really important to come into child's pose after so your blood doesn't swoosh around your body. Enjoy being in child's pose, it's a good one. I would say a lovely rule of thumb is to take twice as many breaths in child's pose as you did in a headstand. If child's pose isn't really your thing, you can just lie on your back as well, that's also pretty good. If you bend your knees up, placing the feet about mat width apart and knock your knees together, that's really good for releasing your lower back, which we use a lot in a headstand. I didn't really manage to capture this one very well, my camera decided to shut off, but I've got like a 1 second clip of what I'm talking about, so you ready? 3, 2, 1, and there we go, that was it. If you're completely new to this and want to be near a wall, bring yourself to the wall, stack your hands so you're at least 1 hand's length or 2 hands length away from the wall. This means that when you balance over, you have something to lean on, but gives you enough space to get up through a press. Come out of child's pose the same way, but just reach your hands back towards your feet this time instead of straight out in front of you. So the first breakdown we're going to do is talking through base placement. So what does a base placement mean? With a headstand, especially a bound headstand, which is the one that I'm talking you through this time, it's really important to have the correct base placement. So a base is where you are putting your head and your hands, or your forearms in this case, on the floor. In a bound headstand, you place your forearms on the floor because it means that you have more surface area to balance on rather than just having your hands on the floor. It gets a bit wobbly. That's why bound headstand is the safest headstand. It's why I recommend it to beginners who want to try standing on their head. Okay, so place your arms down on the mat, take a hold of your opposite elbow with your opposite hand and then interlace your fingers. So we're creating an isosceles triangle. If your elbows are too close together or too far apart, you'll fall and topple over. So a good rule of thumb is just take a hold of the opposite elbow, interlace your fingers. You can have them in front or behind, whatever is more comfortable for you. I like to interlace my fingers personally, and you can see here that I've got my little finger tucked in underneath the interlace, which means I have a more stable base. I won't rock over. I always try to tell my students not to jump into your headstand if you're starting off, if you're a beginner, because this happens. And it's not good to knock the weight over your neck in any sort of headstand because obviously our necks are quite fragile, they're not used to having all this weight placed upon them, so you have to be really careful, and that's why I tend to ask my students to go for a press. So a press is basically getting your legs up into position using your core and doing it in a really nice controlled manner. My cat just jumped on top of the bin. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of different presses just very quickly, not doing tutorials on those ones today. I'll do a separate tutorial if you want me to go into more detail about pressing and how you make it easier for yourself, then just shoot me a DM. My Instagram's @yogi.z, or I will leave my email down below, links to my website where you can contact me if you want a really super duper in-depth explanation.
Starting with the easiest one, this is tuck press. So we're going to lift one leg up and then squeeze the core to lift the other. The weight will be forward, so try lifting your knees up slightly once you're up. Okay, next one. This is a half pike. So we're going to lift one leg up and then see if you can engage your core and lift the other leg up straight. You can switch legs if you want. This next one is a puppy press. So I didn't quite manage to capture it how I wanted to, so I've done it in slow-mo here. So you pick up one leg, and very similar to the half pike, you pick up the other one straight, but it switches out to the side in a half straddle. Speaking of straddle, we're going to come up into a straddle press now. So coming right onto the tips of the toes, picking up the legs. Here's a different angle for you, very flattering angle. Make sure you've got a nice wide step so it's not too hard for you to lift your legs. And then once you're up, you can have a play. This is fun. Last one is the hardest one. That is a full pike press. So you want to lift up onto the tips of your toes and then engage your core to propel your legs up. If you have a bent leg in your press, then you want to keep that where it is and then rotate the extended leg up towards the ceiling and then gradually point the toes of the bended leg to lift it up to meet with your extended. If you try to extend your legs too quickly, you can lean your weight forward, which is much harder on the core. So you need to tuck your tailbone in, pointing your toes to the ceiling to make sure you're in correct alignment. Just going to demonstrate to you the difference in muscles. So you can see here my shoulders are quite relaxed when I'm in the press, it's all in the core, and then as soon as I lift my legs up above my head, my shoulders become engaged and strong and they open out to the side.
Okie dokie, we'll put it all together.
Okay, so come to the floor, find your base, tuck your chin in towards your chest so the crown of your head is on the floor. Once you're happy with your head placement, tuck your toes to lift your butt up off the floor. If you can have straight legs, cool, but bent legs is also absolutely fine. You want to walk your feet in towards you as close as you can. And again, bent legs is okay. Once you're here, you want to come into your press. So I'm going to show you a pike press, it's my favourite one. Try it a couple of times on either leg and then see if you can do a full pike press. So really engage the core here to lift yourself up. Try not to swing like I did, try and keep it nice and controlled. You can try hopping up ever so slightly with the pike, but then come back down to child's pose once you've found your headstand.
Okay, so once you're happy with your legs, getting them up into a nice pressed up, straight up position, there are a couple of different hand or base placements that you can do. If you want more info, you can message me.
The arm placement I'm going to show you is tripod. So you want to have your hands the same place that your elbows were with a bound headstand. So bring your head to the mat, creating a nice isosceles triangle with your hands and your head. Okay, walk yourself up. If you want to, you can place your knee on the back of your upper arm or on your elbow to take the weight. So the weight will go into your arms, which means it's easier on the neck. So I probably should have walked my hands slightly further forward so I have a 90-degree angle on my elbow rather than that slope. Once you're happy with the balance, you can engage your core, see if you can pick up your knees and bring them together in a tuck, and then come back down to child's pose. Once you're happy with tripod headstand, you can start to think about moving your hands around on the mat. This is very advanced, by the way. I come up through a half pike and then into stag legs because I find it easiest, and then I'm moving myself out to an extended tripod headstand.
Once you've got your press down and you've got your base down, then you can work on switching up the leg position. So like I just showed you in that last clip, I tend to use stag quite a lot if I'm having fun playing around with my hands because it's nice and balanced, and you get a nice sort of pendulum movement. It's very easy to control, but there's loads more.
Doing dynamic movements like walking is super fun, and it's good to see what your balance feels like when you're moving your weight in front of and overhead.
I hope you enjoyed that kind of shorter, more tutorial style video, yoga video. Let me know if you liked it. All of these videos are donation based, so if you feel that you want to donate towards more classes, more tutorials, then I'll leave my PayPal email down below. If you wanted to send me some pennies, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do an outro, I've kind of forgotten.
Let me know if you would like any poses in particular for me to break down for you like this. It was much more fun for me to film than a vinyasa flow. But anyway, if you could like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. That would be awesome because it does really help me out. But otherwise, thank you for watching.
Okay, bye.
Make my way downtown, walking fast, faces past and I'm homebound. Diddly diddly dee, diddly 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 dim, dim dim dim.